Got these cut wood there?
They cut wood or not?
I'll go get it.
In recent years,
Oh, look at that.
the team has found a number of ship-related artifacts in the swamp.
During the final digs on Oak Island, something pretty spooky was found. Once again, they made a cool discovery, and this time it looks like Oak Island really does hide some treasure. While wrapping up the excavation of the C1 cluster, they stumbled upon something unsettling. The team has been keeping a close eye on everything, hoping that any big news will bring them closer to the treasure chamber or the vault they've been hunting for so long. Right now, the shaft is almost down to about 90 feet. It's just 5 feet north of Borehole C, and they think they've found what might be the remains of some wooden structures from the 15th century. They also uncovered some significant traces of silver and gold, which has everyone speculating about where the money pit really is and whether there's a tunnel leading to a treasure chamber. So first, subscribe to the channel. This creepy find at Oak Island during the final excavation seems even more exciting than they thought. It makes you wonder how people in the 15th century managed to use wood to build such complicated tunnel systems. The discovery of a tunnel at 90 feet deep is a big sign that they're getting closer to the original money pit. Each time they dig, they feel like there's a better chance of finding something valuable in the next scoop. Since they found gold in the water, they think it might have been brought to the money pit somehow. The team dug up a few random wooden planks, but the real standout was a huge iron fastener. Its old-school craftsmanship suggests it's at least a century old. Because it was found before the money pit was discovered, they think there might be some artifacts from that time period still buried around. One of the items is a hand-forged spike, which caught everyone's attention since every lead is so important. The group plans to dig deeper into this find. It looks rough, but it's made of hand-forged raw iron and is showing its age, making it a noteworthy artifact that could shed light on Oak Island's history. Down at around 130 feet in the B4C shaft, the crew hit a snag when they hit granite, and with time running out, they can't dig more in the money pit area this year. However, the info they gathered from the 5 big steel tunnels they dug in the last few months supports the idea that the treasure everyone's been after for over 2 centuries is still buried somewhere under Oak Island. The team knows they're facing challenges with funding, and they also realize how important it is to use the latest tech and smart methods to keep their search going. Thanks to Carmen's expertise and careful study, we might soon learn more about the history and importance of the spike. The iron spike found in the B4C shaft led Carmen to think it came from a rock drill used in the Middle Ages. A couple of years back, the crew found some stages, and he figured they might have been used to sharpen rock drills. He linked the two finds since they were in the same area. They believe this rock drill, which can drill into rocks and break apart huge boulders, has been around for a long time. The tool looks like those used back in medieval times, and its discovery sparks all kinds of exciting theories about the money pit and the treasure it might hold. The group wonders if this artifact means they're getting closer to that legendary treasure. The rock auger is historically important because it probably played a role in building the money pit. The idea of finding a hidden chamber or room makes exploring even more appealing as they think about all the new discoveries the crew has made on Oak Island, like the stone-paved section in the marsh along the ancient stone road. They're starting to wonder who might be behind the Oak Island mystery. Are they getting closer to figuring out who's responsible for it all and what exactly is hidden in the money pit? Even though they're still on the hunt for answers, the Lagina brothers really appreciate the steady support and attention from their awesome team and fans. Science shows there's a ton of gold and silver hiding under the ground, so they've got plenty of reasons to keep searching for that elusive treasure. They're constantly making new discoveries that give them valuable insights. The crew is feeling pretty good about their progress. The recent find of the artisanal spike has added to their growing knowledge in this field, which helped them figure out the exact heights of the tunnel. Their plan to do more research, like C-14 testing, shows just how important this discovery is. Marty Lagina, Craig Tester, Gary Drayton, and blacksmith expert Carmen Lega headed back to the Institute to chat about the iron spike they found over 100 feet down in the B4C shaft. The mystery of Oak Island has turned into an exciting story, a tricky puzzle that's only gotten more fascinating over the years. They're confident that there's gold to be found on Oak, especially during the peak of piracy in the late 17th and early 18th centuries. Back then, many believed Oak Island was a safe spot for pirates along the east coast of North America and in the Caribbean. This idea has been around since people first started exploring the island. They wondered if this could be where a pirate commander stashed his treasure. But as they dug deeper into the tunnel, water started pouring in. That's because of the island's strange location above a glacial mound. Even though no treasure has ever been found on Oak Island, the legend of the hidden loot has been so captivating for 225 years that people have been traveling there over time. Others have also searched for riches all over the island, not just in the money pit that McGinnis and his buddies dug. What was that treasure chest really meant to hold? When he was younger, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who later became the 32nd president of the U.S., got interested in the whole thing after his dad, who had business ties in Nova Scotia, shared stories about the rumored wealth. FDR's dad played a part in the province's affairs. Unfortunately, the start of World War II in Europe stopped him from going to Oak Island in 1939, but he tried to keep up with the latest news about the island for the rest of his life. Similarly, two big-name actors from the mid-20th century, Errol Flynn and John Wayne, even funded expeditions to look for the Oak Island treasure. They didn't find anything, but they still uncovered clues that continue to intrigue and baffle people. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications for more updates on cool new discoveries. Many folks have all sorts of believable and wild theories about what's in the Oak Island treasure. The most common and believable idea is that it holds the stolen riches of a notorious pirate who was active between 1660 and 1730, which was the golden age of piracy. Famous pirates and buccaneers were all over the rivers on the east coast of North America, from Canada to the Caribbean during that time. Edward Teach, better known as the infamous Pirate Blackbeard, was one of them. Because of the rampant piracy back then, the governments of Spain, England, France, and others with a stake in keeping their trade safe couldn't stop pirate attacks on colonial ships heading back to Europe. This all started after the Treaty of Utrecht ended the War of the Spanish Succession in 1713, which was signed by the main European powers. Coordinated attacks on pirate ships really put a stop to the golden age of piracy in the Western Atlantic. The Treaty of Utrecht officially ended the War of the Spanish Succession. Now, let's talk about the money pit on Oak Island. There's a lot of mystery surrounding it. Geologists say the money pit isn't some underground vault built by people to stash treasure. The island's bedrock is pretty easy to erode since it's close to the ocean and groundwater. Sinkholes can happen when a network of faults and underground caverns collapses. Still, the island has a magnetic pull for treasure hunters. The stories have sparked all kinds of wild theories about where the crater came from. Researchers have uncovered a new force. Check out the video to find out what it is. They've also found a key clue that could help solve the money pit mystery. After spending countless hours digging around Lot 13, which is just northeast of the marsh, Rick Lagina, Tom Nolan, and the rest of the team are gearing up for another dig. They're on the hunt for solid evidence. They did find some clay, but it was clear it didn't belong there. They thought it might be some kind of blue clay. While exploring a strange rock formation called the Quadrilateral, Rick and the team stumbled upon what could be a big clue to the Money Pit mystery. Back in 1804, they kicked off serious digging at a depth of 40 feet and discovered a layer of blue clay that acted like a seal to keep water out. Interestingly, they found the same stuff in 2018 while checking out a ring-shaped stone monument called the Eye of the Swamp. Could it be that they've found proof that the Quadrilateral was made by the same folks who messed with the swamp and built the Money Pit? If so, that's pretty fascinating. It kind of reminded them of what they saw in the Money Pit. Blue clay is a big part of the Money Pit story. If you were trying to keep water out of some underground structure, could you use that? Maybe Rick Lagina's theory that the blue clay hints at a hidden structure below is spot on. If that's true, what kind of structure could it be? And is there something valuable inside? The next morning, Rick and the crew went back to Lot 13 so geoscientist Dr. Ian Spooner could check out that mysterious quadrilateral feature that's giving them clues about the Money Pit. They thought it was pretty unlikely that it just formed there on its own. They also found clay in different colors, mixed with bits of burned wood. Those two things definitely don't go together. One of the team members mentioned that the clay looked all messed up and out of place. Something significant must have happened there. They noticed some striations on a metal piece, and the thin points looked like they were made to be pushed into wood. Are they looking at a hand-forged iron staple or fastener? Large metal staples have been used since the 6th century BC, often for building stone and wooden structures. Could this handmade metal fastener be more proof that there's some kind of structure waiting to be uncovered at the quadrilateral site? So, what kind of structure could we be dealing with here? If the group has already found blue clay, then anything that happened before they hit the money pits could totally be considered original work. It's kind of funny, because what's supposed to be the main focus is actually pretty confusing when you think about all the effort that went into creating that big quadrilateral. So, what does this part really add to the whole mystery? As of now, there's still no decision on that Cayman leg. A blacksmith expert is meeting up with Rick and Marty Lagina, Craig Tester, and metallurgist Emma Culligan at the Oak Island Interpretive Center to check out this huge metal staple they found the day before. The starting point is this cool quadrilateral, even though it looks like a weird shape. They have no clue what that feature actually means. They haven't found anything like it on the island before. There are tons of theories about what kind of treasure might be hidden on the island and how it got there. But the William Phipps theory has a lot of fans and has some solid backing. Recently, writer and history buff Hammerson Peters shot down that theory in a video on his YouTube channel. He mostly pulled info from a book called Oak Island and Its Lost Treasure, which originally made a strong case for the conspiracy. Peters is suggesting this idea. Back in the 17th century, William Phipps was a skilled explorer, and the English were funding him. The Protestant majority, including the elite and aristocrats, really didn't like the Catholic king. When King James II took the throne in 1685 and stuck to Catholicism, they planned to kick him out. The stories we have now are mostly legends from the late 18th century, since there isn't a lot of hard evidence about the early treasure hunts on Oak Island. It took a long time for publishers to start paying attention to these kinds of stories. The first tale about a treasure found by a settler named Daniel McGinnis popped up in 1857. That's the earliest version we know of. After that, it took another 5 years for one of the supposed original diggers to share their account about the initial story and some deeds from the Onslow and Truro Company. The first settlers in the area heard stories about a dying crew member from Captain Kidd's ship, who claimed that Kidd had stashed away £2 million worth of treasure on the island. Captain Kidd died in 1701, according to the most popular version. In 1799, Daniel McGinnis stumbled upon a dip in the ground while searching for a spot to build a farm. He thought this dip might be linked to the legends about Captain Kidd, so he asked a couple of guys, John Smith and Anthony Vaughan, to help him dig. They dug down and found a layer of flagstones about 2 feet down. The earliest documents only mention some marks at certain depths, but later stories talk about finding oak platforms every 10 feet. Previous accounts only mentioned marks, but various legends also hinted at tool marks or scratches on the walls of the hole. The soil down there was looser than the surrounding dirt and looked pretty loose. The 3 guys eventually stopped digging when they hit about 30 feet deep because they got superstitious. There's also another version of the story where all 4 main characters are teenagers. In that version, McGinnis sees the dip back in 1795 while fishing, and the rest of the story unfolds like the first one, focusing on those logs, but it ends with the 4 of them giving up after they dig as much as they can. If you want to stay updated on the latest discoveries, don't forget to subscribe. So, they kept digging down until they hit about 90 feet. That's 27 meters. And what did they find? Layers of logs or some kind of marks, all spaced about 10 feet or 3 meters apart. They also stumbled upon a big stone with some cool symbols carved into it, plus layers of charcoal putty and coconut fiber. But then, things got tricky when the hole filled up with water to a depth of 60 feet, 18 meters. The diggers had a tough time after that. They finally threw in the towel after trying over and over to get to the treasure down below by digging a tunnel from another flooded shaft. Back in the day, the most successful company was probably the Truro Company, which kicked off in 1849 thanks to a bunch of investors. They dug all the way down to 26 meters, 86 feet, below the surface, but then the water started overflowing again. After that, they decided to drill 5 boreholes into the original shaft using a pod auger. Recently, scientists made a pretty wild discovery in space. Could it be aliens? If you want to find out more, check out the next post. On land that used to belong to Samuel Ball, a former slave who became a caduceus farmer, Gary Drayton and his crew started metal detecting and found a piece of chain buried in the ground. As they kept searching, they uncovered a small copper and bronze ring, and they were pumped because they felt like they were onto something big. Eventually, they found a coin that could be hundreds of years old. Samuel Ball was one of the richest folks on Oak Island, owning 36 acres. Did he get rich from growing cabbage? Or did he find treasure? These finds might just be a tiny part of the Oak Island treasure. In Season 4, Episode 8, titled The Mystery of Samuel Ball, Gary Drayton, a metal-detecting expert, and historian Charles Burke continue their search on Samuel Ball's property and make some cool discoveries. They kick things off by finding a gentleman's button, which was pretty common in the 1700s. Then they dig up a bunch of King George II coins from the 18th century, along with a lead ingot used for making musket balls. Drayton thinks these artifacts might be leftovers from a military camp. They even found what looks like an engraved metal tag from the bottom of a handgun. Were these campers from the 18th century on a treasure hunt, or just leaving stuff behind back in the day? One thing's for sure, Oak Island was buzzing with activity. In Episode 15 of Season 4, Blood is Thicker, Gary uses a metal detector to check out some stuff Rick and Marty Lagina found at the Gale 1 excavation site. At first, they think they've found a coin, but then they notice the word plated engraved on it. Dr. Laurie Vindalanda, an expert in antique valuation, took a look and figured it was probably a gold-plated button from a British military uniform in the 17th or 18th century. When the Lagina brothers find a big metal hinge with drill marks nearby, it makes their theory even more believable. Dr. van der Land checked it out and confirmed it was from the same time period. What's even cooler is that it was often used as a hinge on treasure chests, so it raises the question, what else is hiding beneath Oak Island? In the second episode of Season 5, Dead Man's Chest, Gary Drayton and his metal detecting team once again find signs of 17th century activity on the island, possibly from pirates or the military, or maybe both. They soon discover a 17th century musket projectile used in cannons, and then they come across what looks like a map that's just like one found in the Season 1 finale. Pretty wild stuff. Check it out. This coin is pretty special because it's been chopped up into tiny bits. Oak Island kicked off a whole new chapter once the dust settled, and it became clear just how big this discovery really was. The long-standing legend finally came to life. It changed the island's fate forever. These days, there are cool museums, exhibits, and research spots popping up that dive into the island's amazing history and the incredible story behind the treasure. The Oak Island treasure is a true symbol of human grit and the endless quest to uncover the unknown. It's like a tribute to how the human spirit can tackle even the toughest challenges. The name Oak Island will definitely go down in history for exploration and treasure hunting, inspiring future adventurers to dig into unsolved mysteries. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more awesome content from the mysterious universe. Today, Oak Island is still a super interesting place where visitors can walk in the footsteps of early explorers, check out the depths of the Money Pit, and see the mind-blowing discovery that changed human history forever. It's a reminder that there are still mysteries waiting to be cracked, secrets to find, and hidden treasures in the most unexpected spots. So, make sure to tap on the video links that pop up because there's tons to learn about Oak Island. Click now, and we'll see you there in a minute.